Good evening, everyone. Hello and good evening. Welcome to the ILA Student Council election event. If you're joining us from abroad, good morning or good afternoon. I'm Callum and I'll be the moderator for today's event. On behalf of all the members of the election committee and student council, we worked very hard to bring you a fun and informative online event today. The aim is for you to forget that you're watching an Instagram Live, and we want you to make you feel that you're in the physical presence of the candidates today. Speaking of candidates, this election event is a chance for you to know who you are voting for. The candidates will each have 10 minutes of runtime. 5 of those minutes will be allocated to a speech they have prepared, and the other 5 minutes will be dedicated to a Q&A session, where you can use the chat function on Instagram to ask the candidate any burning questions you may have. Please keep in mind that it's important that you put your first name followed by your question, just so we know who is asking the question and it's not some random dude from outside of Doshisha. I'll be verbally asking the candidates your question, and this is for those who are watching the video on demand recording of this live stream, and they can't see the replay of the live chat. That'll be posted to the Student Council Instagram account page. Just to clear the air a bit for those who aren't fully in the loop, this isn't a presidential election, but rather a presidential division election. It's a team comprised of president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. And this team will be representing both the student council and the ILA as a whole. So if you intended to vote, it would be preferable if you stick around for the duration of the event. And you can find out more information on specifically what each position does on a post on the student council Instagram page. Finally, I'll be dividing today's event itinerary into 4 segments. This live stream or VOD that you're watching now will be dedicated to the presidential candidates. This live stream will be ended and then restarted for the next position, which will be vice presidential candidates, and so on for the previous live stream. So if you don't get the notifications on Instagram can be a little bit finicky. Just go ahead and refresh your page whenever a new live stream starts. This makes the post viewing of the event easier, and each live stream will have its own background art, so you know exactly what segment of the event you're joining. Just so it's clear, the voting will open on November 16th for those who are wondering. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. The first candidate for the president position today is Emerson, and we'll be getting her on a call in just a moment here. Hello, Emerson. How are you today?
Hello, Callum. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. So starting now, you'll have 5 minutes for your speech that you've prepared, and then we will be doing the Q&A session from the Instagram live chat. So you have 10 minutes starting now.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Emerson Lee, and I'm currently running for the position of president. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the current student council members and the election committee for all the hard work that they're doing. Thank you so much. I want to talk about something that had happened right before the fall semester started. The student council was asked to host a graduation event for the class of 2020, both spring and fall graduates. And there were several things that had to be done. One of the things was to create a little compilation video, which included pictures and videos of the graduating class. And I decided to take on that job of making the farewell video, as I enjoy video making. After a week of asking soon-to-be graduates to send in photos, along with asking professors to record a video of them congratulating the class, it was time for me to get to work. But oh no. Once all the photos and videos were received, my laptop decides that it's going to stop working. I took my laptop to a service center, and the employee working there had told me that my laptop was going to take a good week to fix and that it would most likely be ready to be home by Saturday or Sunday. Okay, not a problem. But no, it was a big problem. The graduation video was due on Thursday night. With my laptop at the repair center, if I were to tell the other student council members who were also all busy with their own jobs, I knew that I would feel guilty for not being able to be responsible. And so I did what any normal Emerson would do. I packed up all of my USBs, my hard drives, my solid state drives. And for the next 4 days, I worked at a public library and on a computer in order to finish that video. Thankfully, all of the pictures and videos for the graduating video was on Google Drive, and with enough coffee, I was able to finish the video by Thursday evening. Thank goodness. So, why did I decide to tell you this little story? It goes to show that I'm responsible, committed, and that I'm willing to go the extra mile to solve a problem. And I bet you're wondering, why is Emerson Lee, a first-year student, running for the position of president? And it's because the ILA is and will be my home for the next 3 years. And like moving into any new place, you're gonna wanna fix the place up. And that's exactly what I want to do as president. As president, I want to take problems and issues that surround the ILA and make changes to better the ILA, not only for the current student body, but for future generations as well. I want to continue what the current presidential division has been doing, which is to keep the student council active, continue having Instagram and Facebook pages running, support and help out in upcoming projects. Not only that, Xuan Ye, who is also running for the position of vice president, and I have events and contributions we would like to carry out in the upcoming spring semester. Some of the things that Xuan and I would like to propose is that there be a student ambassador program for the ILA students, in which students will be representing the ILA at events such as university fairs or even school tours. We will reach out to other universities in Kyoto and create relationships with them. We could even host events and festivals with one another. Another thing that we will do is to help newly accepted students get in touch with each other. There was positive feedback from the fall 2020 batch, and seeing as how that went well, we will continue to help these students get in touch with each other before the new semester starts via social media. Lastly, we will listen to what you have to say. We will conduct surveys throughout the semester, and depending on your responses, we will start to come up with ideas and solutions within the ILASC. And once a viable solution is agreed upon, we will present the solution to the professor and see what follows suit. It's going to be an interesting journey. And in order to make this all happen, I need you to vote for me, Emerson Lee. I need your support, your voice. After all, your voice is my voice. Thank you for your time. This is Emerson Lee.
Thank you, Emerson, for your speech. We're now going to open the chat up for a Q&A session. So if you have any questions for Emerson, please put them in the chat. Please keep in mind, put your first name followed by your question, just so we know who is asking the question. I'll be asking your question to Emerson. And this is for the people who are going to be watching afterwards, so they can't see the live replay of the chat. So go ahead and ask your questions. The first question is from Matas, and he asks, as a president, how are you going to reassure a smooth arrival of international students to Japan?
Thank you for your question, Matas. Well, by cooperating with international students, ILA student council members, professors, the Office of International Students, and even embassies, we are trying to solve some of these problems that had occurred for international students who plan on entering Japan at the moment. We are discussing what could be done to make this progress easier and smoother, and as of now, it is in the works. However, once everything is confirmed, which it is going to be soon, the ILA Student Council, as transparent as possible, will keep the student body updated on Instagram and Facebook. Our goal is to make sure that moving to Japan is as easy and understandable as possible. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is from Suzu, and she asks, as a first-year student, how will you compensate for the lack of experience compared to your opponents as a student at the ILA?
Thank you so much for your question, Suzu. Well, I was part of the student council since my first semester, and so I believe I have a better understanding of how the student council runs. On top of that, as I mentioned, we will be conducting surveys throughout the semester in order to see what needs to be fixed at the ILA. Thank you.
Okay, the next question comes from Kenjiro-do. Do you believe that you have enough knowledge of and experience with the ILA faculty, campus, and more senior students?
Thank you so much for your question, Kenjiro. And as I said earlier, I do not have that experience. However, I'm willing to learn. I am willing to reach out to senior students, the faculty, in order to find out the problems at the ILA. Thank you so much.
The next question comes from Avto. Are you certain that without having been to campus, you will understand issues of most students who have never even met?
Thank you so much for your question. As I have been saying for the last three questions now, I am willing to reach out to students. I'm willing to ask students what problems there are at the ILA in order to fix these issues. Thank you so much.
Okay, so at the moment we don't have any more questions coming in. As I said that, we have another question coming in. So the next question is from Jinnah, and they ask, what would be the first prioritized task you try to get done if you'd be elected?
If I were to be elected, the first thing I would want to do is not only make the student council a club for its own reasons. My first initiative would be to create a student ambassador program within the ILA.
Okay, so I'm going to give a 60-second grace period for any further questions. Emerson, if you have any spontaneous final remarks you would like to make, now is your chance.
Uh, well, I just want to thank the, the election committee once more for all that they've done and the student council for all that they've done. And I would also like to thank the audience for coming out on this Friday evening to see what the presidential candidates are presenting on the table. Yes.
Okay, Emerson, I think that'll be a wrap. Thank you for your time, and best of luck in the elections.
Thank you so much for this platform. Have a good evening.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was Emerson, presidential candidate. We're going to move on now to Kobe, who is our next presidential candidate, and we're going to directly call him right now.
Uh, Hello.
Hi there, Kobe. How are you today?
Good evening. I'm doing good.
Give me just 1 second here to
Yeah,
get
sure
your
thing, man.
face on the live stream. Perfect.
Right.
Okay, Kobe, so starting now, you're going to have 10 minutes. The first 5 minutes are dedicated to the speech that you've prepared, and then will be followed by questions in the Instagram chat. Now, for people who, just so the Q&A session goes a bit more smoothly and we use the time more efficiently, if you have any questions that pop into your mind while Kobe's giving his speech, just type it up in the chat and have it ready to send. Kobe, your time starts now.
All right. So I'm gonna keep this very brief. But the first thing I'd like to address is a concern that a lot of people have actually brought up with me, and it's the fact that since the council is as active now than it was ever, I mean, more active than it was ever, uh, having me as president would somehow insinuate a discontinuity with what's going on right now. But rest assured, I intend to dialectically improve what the council right now is doing. I think what they're doing is a step forward in the right direction, and I'm very proud to have them represent me for the most part. But I'm gonna go on now with what I want to do. So, what I remember one of the most disheartening things about me being third year is that I've been in the ILA long enough to see a lot of change, and one of the really sad things that I see going on is that a lot of freshmen they come into the ILA with a lot of ambition and a lot of a lot of desire to change the world, and it's very endearing, so to speak. But they sort of lose this drive when they are as they grow older, as they enter their third and fourth years, and so on. And that's going to be the crux of my platform, because what I want to do as a president is to be able to allow access. Uh, my platform is a very career-centered, professional, life-centered career. I mean, professional-centered, say, platform, in that I want to be able to give the ILA the ability to chase their careers and their dreams more efficiently, more effectively, so to speak. So, for example, when I'm president, I feel like a very good opportunity that I will have is to be able to reach out, since I'm familiar with a lot of how the politics works external to the ILA and also internal. And I feel like I can give students a better platform to be able to express themselves professionally and be able to, have access to things that they want. So some of the things that I intend to do is that I have a lot of connections, so to speak, with the Gurochi, and and they are willing, if I'm president, to collaborate with a lot of events. They are willing to have events that will pool from both the ILA funds and their funds, as well as collaborate and co-host events extracurricular to academics, such as hiking trips and movie nights, so on and so forth. And of course, there's going to be academic things like conferences and whatnot. And I think through me, I can grant an avenue to access a certain things that would be otherwise difficult for somebody who isn't in the know-how to access, such as who to talk to and what to talk to them about. I wanna show the student body that they can and will be able to pursue what they want to be after they graduate more effectively and have access to connections, build them up. Because something that concerns me is that a lot of people in the alley don't know the merits of their degree, insofar that they just graduate and that's it. That's that. They have no plans afterwards, and I'd want to be able to give them the ammunition to be able to effectively come to the world prepared, so to speak, right? And I think that's something that me and Kai have been very proud about, that we have the means and we have plans on how to conduct this. And of course, we would really, really, really like to preserve what the current council is doing now. There is certain rumors floating around that I intend to destroy and undo everything that the council has done, and I assure you that this is incorrect. If anything, I'd like to take what isn't working and add what ought to work, what I think should work. And I think it would be great, honestly, if we could have contentious opinions and so on, so we could work something out and compromise. But for the most part, there are certain changes that I'd like to see in the ILA, such as having to and I'd really like to see the freshmen maintain their ambition long after their freshman year, and preferably up to graduation, because the ILA is a school of big dreamers, and their dreams ought to stay big until the very end.
Okay, perfect timing there, Kobe. So thank you for your speech. We're now going to open it up to Q&A. So go ahead and use the chat function and just make sure that you put your names followed by the question. And the first question for you, Kobe, today is from Matas, and he asks, being a third-year student with no experience at the ILA Student Council, how are you going to reassure the quality of the work that the council is doing?
I'm sorry, Caleb, you lagged out a bit. I didn't get the question.
Sure thing. So the first question is from Matas. Feel free to
Right.
stop me if I lag out again. And he asks, being a third-year
Right.
student with no experience at the ILA Student Council, how are you going to reassure the quality of the work that the council is doing?
Well, I think that as an outsider who is not part of the council, I'd have a better idea of what the council is doing wrong, because the council claims to represent the student body, but at the same time, they are not getting sufficient feedback from most of the student body. So as an outsider, I think I'd have a better idea of knowing what the council is doing ineffectively or inefficiently. And I think I'd be in a position to help, rectify that, so to speak. So in other words, I don't think just because I am not in the council does not make me inexperienced to what the council is doing, because I am a direct beneficiary of their policies as a student.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the answer. The next question is from Kenjiro, and he asks, what experience do you believe will help you as the president of the Student Council?
All right, so I've been in the ILA for since September 2018, so I've been here for a while. I'm I'm on pretty acquainted terms with most of the professors, and some of them I actually feel like I'm friends with, and I engage with them outside of classes. Beyond that, I also have a lot of I've been in the ILA long enough to understand how where the ILA fits in the larger scheme of politics in, like, say, Doshisha, as well as internally. And I've been in the ILA long enough to know what kind of opportunities can be found if one knows where to look, and that's what I want to share with the student body. Because my college life so far has been very fruitful, academically and professionally, since I've been able to make a lot of healthy connections, and I think most people could if they knew what they were doing. So that's why.
Perfect. Thank you for the answer. The next question is from Shuhan, and she asks, "What do you think that should be changed inside the student council as of now?"
So I feel like the student council could do a lot better job of a job at reaching out to its student body. I think that one of my there's a lot actually. That's a very broad question, but I think one of the things that I like to bring up a lot is how the council kind of exists in a bubble, so to speak. The ILA has always been criticized as being a very cliquey environment. People like to form cliques and they like to stay in this clique and they rarely stray away from that clique. And I think in some facet, the council is a clique in and of itself, and I feel like that alienates it from the rest of the student body in a lot of ways.
Perfect. So the next question comes from Barbara, and they ask, "What do you think the current council is doing wrong?"
I answered that. That's Shuan's question.
Perfect. The next question is from Jennifer. What changes do you believe the student council would need to fix under your presidency?
I feel like, for example, I feel like a lot of their policies have been very ineffective, inefficient, and sometimes redundant. One of the things that I'd like to fix is the fact that one of the ideas that really intrigued me was content creation and having the ILA have a marketable presence. That's something that I am all for and I really like, and I feel like I could execute that properly. I know that Matas and some other people are working on a podcast, and I'd like to participate in that. And I'd like to be able to give them an avenue and a platform to expose themselves. I feel like the council is also doing not so well in being able to unlock opportunities for students to pursue, things outside of the ILA. Right, it's very restrictive to what is going on here, and I feel like they are unwilling or unable to reach out to avenues that are external, and those could be very beneficial to students if only they knew how to do so.
Okay, so we have a limited time left. I have two more questions for you. The next
Gotcha.
one's from Barbara. What is the first project you would work on if you win the election?
Okay, so the first thing that I'd like to work on is, first of all, I'd like to make some structural changes because I get the impression that a lot of people would be unwilling to work with me and work with my vice president. And in the Constitution, it says that the ILA has a maximum of at least 30 members, and I would not want to work with 30 people that don't want me as a president. So I would like to make some structural changes, if that would be possible, and make way for people wouldn't mind. I don't mind differing opinions, but I would prefer people that wouldn't undermine, so to speak. Because I know a lot of people here are loyal to what the council is doing now. That's why I address that I am not intent on on doing what they're doing. So first of all, I'd like to revise the structure of the council.
Perfect. Okay, final question from Sakal. As a president, what are some projects you would tackle if you get elected?
So, okay, I'll give you an example of one of them. One of them is that I have collaborators in the Grochi department that are willing to give what's this access to ILE students and Grochi students alike to certain conferences that occur within Doshisha. And the thing is, these are often organized internally with the Grochi, so they get a sort of more special access. And since I can work on collaborate with these people, these ILA people will be able to come into these and get healthy connections. You can meet a lot of important figures, a lot of important professors, so you get their contacts, and so to speak, and then you will be able to reach out to them when the time comes, and they will be able to afford you an opportunity to reach and outdo yourself academically and professionally.
Okay, Kobe, thank you for your time. There are a couple more questions in the chat and a few things going on, so if you maybe want to screenshot that and maybe answer that on your own time, I think that would be appropriate. But thank you for your time, Kobe, and best of
Yeah,
luck in the elections.
thank you. DM me on Facebook if you want to ask. Not line, not Insta.
Okay, so that wraps up the segment for the presidential candidates. Now we are going to move on to the vice president candidates. So this stream is going to end, and I'm going to restart the stream, and it's going to be for the vice presidential candidate. So if you do not get a notification, just refresh your page until the stream pops up, okay? I will see you all in a minute.